Welcome to the Mucked Up My Self-Care podcast.
I'm Jill from New York.
And I'm Linda from Tasmania.
We are two moms from opposite sides of the world who are living, demonstrating, and helping moms across the world build their self-care asset bank.
Ready to dive in? Messy, interrupted, imperfect, and most of all mucked up. Let's get going. Good morning, good evening.
Good morning, all the in-betweens.
You're just starting my Monday, I'm ending mine. It's so strange.
I know.
Anyway. Let's start as we always do. Highs, lows.
Do it. Oh, let's see. Muck high, muck low. Coming off of a good weekend, I think. It was a little bit of a lazy one because we had some rain, but then we got to have a big fun day yesterday on Sunday to celebrate a friend's birthday. And I think that was our high for the weekend, was this fun birthday party that we got to go to. Pirate themed. They had a whole treasure hunt. It was adorable and lots of fun. But a long day, which is the low, I think, because once again, whenever we have plans, we tend to wake up at 2:30 in the morning and then take like a 2-hour nap before we have to go anywhere. And then no nap the rest of the day. So it was a long day yesterday with this party, and then no nap, and then a crash when we got home, and then makes bedtime even later.
Yeah, it sounds like you're transitioning into the no nap zone.
Luckily, school still does naps for his class, and that will continue. If I only have to do weekends with no naps, I will take it, because then he's still got 5 days worth of naps.
One thing that somebody said to me sort of too late, or not too late with the two littles that I've got now, but something that someone mentioned was, when you drop the nap, still try to have quiet time or that sort of thing in the middle of the day, because especially, I don't want to be too gender stereotypical, but boys can go. And then that crash is huge, or they crash just a little bit too early, or they just, or they forget to eat, or all sorts of things happen. And so making sure you're still having that quiet time, whether with some books or just laying and looking at clouds or something really relaxing.
That's good tips.
Yeah.
That's a very good tip.
Yeah. Preferably not in front of the TV, because that's a different sort of routine. And we find that sometimes with Quinn, if he sits down to watch something, especially around the 2 p.m. mark, he will easily fall asleep as well. So a book is a little bit more engaging, but still quiet enough to keep him going. So we are in no nap zone. If he has a nap these days, even if it's at 10 a.m., he will then be up till 9 or 10 at night.
Wow.
So we are already there. And in some ways we've pushed it, because I have pushed it in a way, because I know that he will get really angry after he has had a nap, and then also angry because he hasn't had enough sleep that night. And so he does actually get more sleep by not having a sleep. So he can go down at 7 like he did tonight, compared to 10 p.m. and a half-hour nap in the day. So there's a 2.5-hour thing there where it's
sometimes those sleep windows are very specific to the child instead of the typical routine.
And it works for our family to have the little ones asleep earlier than the big ones as well. So if he's adding his energy into the nighttime routine, it becomes very chaotic very quickly. So it's actually more beneficial for us as a family to have him not nap than nap. because a late night for our family with 3 children or 4 sometimes, it just becomes this crazy, we get no time for ourselves, and yeah, it doesn't work too well. Anyway, yes, sorry, barge in.
Oh, all good. Well, tell us a little bit about your highs and lows for this mucked up self-care episode today.
So I think the high would have to be I redid the chore chart. The 2 main jobs that the older kids have for their day. I redid that a few weeks ago, and it seems to be going well so far. And they have some jobs on there which are going to push their comfort zone a little bit, like feeding the dog and picking up dog poo and lots of other, like walking the dog and things like that. So it's pushing them a little bit more. They're cooking dinner twice a week now, or helping cook dinner twice a week and things like that. But then they also don't have to chop wood as we come into our summer. So the change has actually been working fairly well. In school holidays, the dishwasher gets unpacked earlier. So it's really helpful for my own routine and structure. The low is there's a great big gaping hole in the wall. Quinn pushed Alex, and I don't know if it's a bum print or a foot or something, but it's a big hole in the wall. They were jumping on the bed. Oh my gosh.
Like, how does that little tiny boy have so much power behind him to push?
Oh, so much. They were both, I didn't see it happen. It could have been a mutual effort. Alex was pretty angry about the hole in the wall. The adults in the house actually handled it relatively calmly, were actually quite self-responsible at the time. Amazingly, the last hole in the wall was not the case. The last hole in the wall, we all got very angry. All got very angry. And anger is such a funny emotion as well, because I think so often we are told not to get angry. Anger doesn't lead to many good results, especially from parents. Anger from kids usually means the parents are getting angry as well. And we really shouldn't, I say shouldn't, but anger can trigger a lot of emotion for a lot of people instead of it being something that needs to actually come out, especially in a physical way. We slam doors, we rage vacuum, we might go and run outside or something. Like, anger does happen. It can't be avoided. And I think I see different personalities coming through in my kids as well, where one will trap the anger quite a lot and suppress it and not release it. And that actually causes more tension and upset and this people pleasing, which is also quite unhealthy, compared to another one who has a bit of a yell and a scream and goes outside and has a jump around, and then he's good. He's like, it's gone, it's done. So, but at the same time, when he gets upset or yells or gets really angry, the immediate reaction at times from adults is be like, well, calm down. And like, we're actually matching his anger with anger. What's your experience with anger and that sort of thing?
I see it a lot in my husband when he gets frustrated when Declan puts up a fit. And you can see now the matching of the two. And I know I do it, but it's more eye-opening when you see the other parent reacting that way, and then you become more conscious about it for yourself. And I've tried to do what the gentle parenting thing is, I guess, is what you could call it, with letting them get the emotion out. And I just, fine, you know what? You need to sit here and cry it out. You need to stomp around and throw whatever it is you need to throw. do it over here. So you're not breaking my things. You're safe, or I'm safe, and you're not hitting me. Get it out. You let me know when you're done. I'm here. And I've seen a huge shift in how quickly it ends. Whereas I don't teach my husband how to do that because I want him to figure that out on his own, because that's what I've done. So, and I don't need him resenting me for telling him how to parent, but I can see then how much longer it takes for him to come down because he's not getting his way, or he's upset with what my husband is saying. And it's a different, totally different based off the parenting too, and who's in charge of those emotions with him and helping him process that. So,
Mm-hmm. But how have you found it difficult not to step in sometimes in those situations? Because for me, especially, I think I had a mum who still does, and very much in my childhood kept the peace a lot of the time. She was the peacemaker. She liked there to be minimal tension. If we did get in a conflict, it would be diffused quite quickly. So we probably couldn't let out enough anger or frustration or a lot of different emotions, just era, time. She was just definitely doing the best that she knew how. And so because she was such a peacemaker, sometimes the peacemaker that I have been demonstrated or I've seen, I want to step in and take and make peace if the boys are getting angry at each other, or if they're in a disagreement. And actually sometimes by stepping in, and then I try to make peace, I can't make peace, and then I end up escalating really quickly, whereas it wasn't bothering me too much back there. But as soon as I think that I need to make peace, and then I can't make peace, that then agitates me further. And it's hard to say out loud. I'm not proud of these behaviors at all. It's definitely a big work in progress for me. So I step in, try to make peace. I can't make peace. And so I get angry and I feel like my boundaries have been completely obliterated. Nobody's listening to me. And again, another trigger for me. And so all of a sudden the dynamics multiplied because I've tried to make peace, I can't, and then the boys are still trying to resolve their conflict. And I've come and stepped in and added a whole new dimension. Yeah. And yeah, I know that I definitely have done that in the past with parenting too, and with Ben's parenting, and being like, well, just why does it even bother you? It doesn't bother me. Why does it have to bother you? And so I then come in and react and try to just diffuse in a way that I thought was diffusing, and it wasn't actually diffusing. And what's that actually teaching the kids? They're just seeing the reaction from me. And if I hadn't have reacted at the time, they probably would have been okay. It's such a loop. Oh.
Yeah, it's hard when parenting with someone else that you don't step in to do it yourself, because like last night we had with Declan falling asleep at 6. It was before 6 p.m. It was like 5 o'clock to drive home from this birthday party. He fell asleep. So by the time we got home, I put him on the couch and he was still sleeping. Both him and Bobby passed out on the couch for like a good hour, probably. By the time I was getting ready to put him into bed and transfer him, he started to wake up but didn't want to go back to bed. So Bobby is like forcing him back to bed, and I'm like, he's not going to go back to bed, but we'll try. I laid down with him and we talked it out. He cried and cried and cried. I just want to watch shows and drink chocolate milk. So I got him to explain.
He thought it was morning. He thought it was morning time.
He did. Exactly. He wanted to relax. He never had his evening relax time with us, because that's what we do before bed. We just will sit and watch TV for a little while with dinner, and we never did it yesterday. He was missing that time. And I got him to explain that to me once he was done processing that frustration that we kept saying no. But I was alone in it. And so I didn't want to just come out of his room saying, this is what we're doing. It needed to be a family decision, I thought. So I brought him out and I let him hash it out with my husband then. And I did my best to stop myself from explaining for Declan and just doing it myself and just resolving the issue then. And I spent another half hour of just quiet and him whining because he couldn't figure out how to tell dad what he wanted again. He already told mom. So it was such a different practice for me to not just jump in and be like, this is what we're doing, and let them figure it out together, which they ended up coming to a compromise and it all worked out. But now I'm frustrated. I'm like, I need to get out of this house because nobody wants to listen to me either. And I'm sitting here trying to like not jump in, and I'm like bent up and like fuming from the inside. I'm like, why can't you just listen to him and do what he says? Or why can't you just listen to him and give him what he wants? Just
let him get it out. Just stop the words. Stop talking. Just let him be. Is there anything you do in those moments to help? Calm isn't the right word. To help yourself to minimize the need to jump in is probably the best way I can describe it. Is there anything you do in those moments to be like, I've just got to step back? Do you try and shut out the noise? Do you try and work out what's going on for you, or stop overanalyzing? Is there anything that you've found that works for you?
Yeah. Last night was the first time I successfully did it, the whole entire thing. Like, but at some point I usually break down. I'm like, I can't handle this thing.
Yeah.
But I also didn't want to walk away. Like, I feel like that's rude to walk away from your child who's trying to explain to another adult what's going on. So I needed to be some kind of a comfort. So I just sat there and held him as he was trying to process everything. We sat as a three, like a couple, as a family ball of humans, it felt like, on the couch, just all huddled together. And I just sat in that space. And that's what I focused on, was like, we're all touching. We're all in like this. Luckily, it didn't make me touched out, but it was a lot of touching. So I think that was probably where my focus was. Like, I am suffocated by people being on top of me right now.
All the touching, and then the cat comes in.
But otherwise I feel like I would leave and go distract myself with maybe going to go do the dishes or preparing a bottle before it needed to be ready, because knowing that the answer would have been yes, you can have your chocolate milk. So I just stayed in that moment to take in that we were sitting as a family regardless of the bickering that was going on.
Yeah. Yep. So Bobby gave you the time to begin with to listen to him. And then you gave him the time.
It was more so Bobby sent Declan to bed and I stayed with him, and Declan told me what he needed. And then we went outside and Declan told Bobby what he needed. And Bobby and I did not communicate anything.
Yeah.
I was just like, you know what, Declan, you need to tell Daddy what you want, and put the responsibility on Declan instead of on me to share. I don't know, it was very weird and different last night how we managed it, but
so proud of you.
I don't know. But
yep. So let's talk about that difference though, because in the past, the different version of ourselves may not have handled it with such wisdom. Especially postpartum, when you do have that postpartum rage.
Okay.
And take it out on the vacuum cleaner or the smash a plate or two.
That was month 3 with my anger. Yeah.
I know we've touched on it around the outsides and the surface level, But do you want to explain a little bit about your postpartum rage, and then I'll talk to it as well?
Ooh, yeah. I really think the postpartum rage, I think, is definitely due to hormones and not knowing how to let out anger in a healthy way, for sure. Because I was one of those people that let out the anger through punching or slamming or like this outward expression of force behind the anger. Um, and it really came
It's
down
a
to,
physical
yeah.
release. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think it does come down to being left to do things on my own, whether or not it is honestly true that that self-thought that one, it's just easier to do it myself, better to do it myself, or everyone has left me to do it myself. That once you've reached the point where I can't do it myself and you realize that there's no one else to help you do it, that's my top blown off then. And that comes in an instant when your hormones are that whacked, it feels like. And there was nowhere else for me to release it but out through physical at the moment that I knew how to do it because I wasn't aware of what was going on and why. Um, I think understanding the why it was getting to be like that because of the hormone shift helped me figure out different ways to release the anger or not be frustrated by it, communicate better and, not letting my husband come up behind me and touch me after I'd just had a really crappy day of breastfeeding the whole day where he was tugging on everything and moving around so much. Because even just holding an infant while they're learning to move and them not sitting still gets you so touched out. And I think the biggest one was touch out to bring that anger out. Because, middle of doing the dishes and someone has to come over and touch you and stop you from doing what you were doing, the interruption of what you're doing with both thought and touch was an instant stimulant for this. I can't do this anymore. I'm done.
Yeah.
Which then brought on more rage, cleaning of dishes, and all the fun stuff. So, yeah, I think that's my side of it.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because you're being touched out and being overwhelmed by that physical sensation of touch, if you like, at the same time having this very physical defense or a release or a way of coping, which was doing dishes or like that's also quite a physical with your hands tangible thing that you could do in those moments to help. So you were trying to match this physical with physical in a different way that didn't include anybody else. So yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? Yeah, to think about. A lot of my
That's a good.
yeah. A lot of my postpartum rage has been to do with words and my own internal talk, or perhaps the tone in the way someone has talked to me has been completely misinterpreted. And a lot of the rage that I experienced was also definitely hormonal, but also if I look back in hindsight with the wisdom now, a lot of the rage that I experienced would have been after 9 p.m. at night. So after 9 p.m., it's like all of a sudden people are asleep and all of a sudden the house is quiet and it gets louder. I have to get louder and my talk isn't subdued with all of the other happenings in the house and the other demands of me. So once I finally got to some quiet time, it's like the volume would be turned up and everything else would explode. And all of a sudden I feel like an avalanche of all of this stuff that I've been probably suppressing through the day or critically talking about myself through the day or for weeks even, would avalanche me at once, and I'd just erupt very quickly. And again, outwardly expressed through slamming doors or yelling or really getting very angry in those moments as well. And again, these are hard conversations to have. This is not something we're proud of to say out loud on air, on a podcast, because people will take their own interpretations of what we've said and their own experiences and filters and everything else like that. So it's hard to say out loud. It's hard to admit those experiences of moments that we have definitely had that rage.
Yeah, it's very vulnerable to say out loud your humanness. But do you find yourself still feeling loud at bedtime now?
Yes, every time. Yep. And I can link it again back to my childhood. So my mother had the experience, unfortunately, of losing my brother while pregnant with me to SIDS. So bedtime and sleep time was always quite anxious. And I know if I'm in a funk or stuck in a muck, if you like, bedtime becomes very stressful, very loud, very easily snap at, you don't need another cup of water. You've already brushed your teeth. You've already had a snack. You like coming out 10 times in a row is likely to set me off at times if I'm not careful. Yep. I know that. Not fun.
Oh, I don't imagine.
Yep.
Yeah. These are definitely hard conversations. But the reality of it is that it will happen. It can happen. And to be gentle on yourself. And I don't think we were.
No, definitely not. No.
And I think that's the best we can offer to whoever is listening in on this, that what is it? Our friend says, space and grace. Just like we do with our toddlers. I mean, our toddlers don't know how to handle their tantrums because they're learning it. And I mean, we're as old as we are and we haven't figured it out either.
Yeah. But it is in those moments, it's like all of a sudden we're 3 again.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
I think the thing that's helped me the most with that part, and like learning how to process these tantrums, is that remembering that I was born at the same time that my son was born as a mom. And Linda, each time you have a child, you have been reborn also, because this is now the first day that you are you since this child has come into this world. So I learned at the same time my child was learning how to deal with my emotions in a completely brand new way.
That's right. Exactly.
And that's the mind-blowing part about it, is that that's why I need to give myself the space and the grace to do it, because even though I might have known how to process a tantrum before a child, I have no idea how to do that after having a child, because I'm a completely different person now.
Yep. Completely. Yeah. I think that's a great point to end on. And I think we need to come back and revisit some of these stories and beliefs and this topic, because it needs to be said out loud.
It does. I think this is super helpful to anybody listening in, and I hope it does. And we'd love to know if this has definitely made an impact on you or helped you in processing your own rage or figuring out your own tantrums. But it's one way we're trying to unstuck our muck today.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, until next week.
We hope you can unstuck that muck. Bye for now.
Bye.